Later, he asked his parents if Iris could come again, so that they could visit Nine. "Why can't she stay the night?" Mr. Griffith suggested. "She could sleep in Bethan's room." "No!" cried Mrs. Griffith, and then more quietly, "It's just that the room isn't ready." Nothing more was said then, but when Mr. Griffith had returned from his journey to the Herberts, he suddenly said, "Shall we ask the girl for Christmas? She can stay a day or two, and there'll be time to get the room ready." "No," his wife said again. "No, it's my Bethan's room." "But she isn't here, ma'am," Gwyn said gently. "It's waiting for her, isn't it?" his mother reproached him. "But Eirlis could sleep there," Gwyn persisted. "The room is ready. I looked in. The bed is made, and the patchwork quilt on it. The cupboards are shiny, and all the dolls are there. It's just a waste." "Yes, all the dolls are there," cried Mrs. Griffith. She sank into a chair and bent her head, covering her face with her hands. "You don't seem to care any more, either of you. It's my daughter's room, my Bethan's, her bed, her dolls, her place." Her husband and her son stood watching her, sad and helpless. How could they tell her that it did not matter if Bethan was not with them, because now there was Eirlis? "We won't discuss it now," said Mr. Griffiths, "but I've already agreed to fetch the girl tomorrow. Be kind while she's here. She's an orphan, remember." "I won't upset her," Mrs. Griffith said. "I'm sorry for her. She's just not my Bethan." When Gwyn took Eirlis to visit his grandmother the following afternoon, Nine was waiting by the gate. She had dressed carefully for the occasion, in an emerald green dress and scarlet stockings. Round her neck she wore a rope of grass green beads, long enough to touch the silver buckle on her belt, and from each ear a tiny gold cage swung with a silver bird tinkling inside. Eirlis was most impressed. "How beautiful you look," she said, and won Nine's heart. Gwyn noticed that his grandmother could not take her eyes off the girl. She watched her every move, hungrily looking. A bright-eyed cat might watch a bird. "Eirlis," she murmured, "that's Welsh for snowdrop. So we have a snowflower among us." After they had sipped their flowery tea and eaten cake that tasted of cinnamon and rosemary, Gwyn told his grandmother about the ship and Dewi Davis's nose, while Eirlis wandered around the room, touching the china, the beads, and the plants, studying the pictures in the dusty books, and tying coloured scarves around her head. Nine was not surprised to hear about the silver ship. She merely nodded and said, yes." But now that her prophecies for Gwyn were coming true, she found it almost too gratifying to bear. "You have nearly reached what you wanted, Gwydion Gwyn, but be careful. Don't do anything foolish." "Shall I tell Eirlis about the spider?" Gwyn asked his grandmother. "Should she know about the cobwebs and the other world?" "Of course," said Nine, "though I believe she already knows." They left the cottage before dark. Nine followed them to the gate, and as they set off up the track, she called again, "Be careful." Gwyn was not listening to his grandmother. He had begun to tell Eirlis about the spider. He realized that he had not seen Arianwen for several days and wondered where she was. When they got back to the farmhouse, Mrs. Griffiths was upstairs sewing the hem on her new bedroom curtains. Her husband was cleaning the Land Rover, and he had used it to transport a new batch of pullets from the Lloyds that morning, and they had made more of a mess than he had bargained for. Gwyn told Eirlis to wait in the kitchen while he fetched the pipe and the spider from his attic room. When he returned, she was sitting in the armchair by the stove. The light was fading, but the tiny slither of winter sun had crept through the swaying branches of the apple tree and into the kitchen window. The light glimmered on the girl in the armchair, and Gwyn had to stop, take a breath before he said, "You're the girl in the web, Irlis." "Am I?" she said. "Yes, it was you. I knew it all the time, but I couldn't see how. You're like my sister too. Where have you come from, Irlis?" The girl just smiled her indestructible smile and asked, "Where is the spider?" "I don't know," he replied. "I looked in the drawer on the top of the cupboard and under the bed. I couldn't find her." Iris looked concerned. "Where can she be?" she asked. Gwyn shrugged. "I don't know. She's been gone before, but always for a day. I haven't seen her now for nearly a week." His father called from the front door. "Time to go, Irlis. Are you ready?" Irlis stood up. "You must find the spider, Gwyn," she said. "She's precious. She will make it possible for you to see whatever you want. And when you what?" Gwyn demanded. "Can't say just yet," Irlis replied. And then she disappeared into the passage and ran out of the door before Gwyn had time to think of another question. He watched the lights of the Land Rover flicker on the lane before he climbed up into his room again. This time he shook the curtains, the carpet, and, beginning to panic, emptied the contents of every drawer upon the floor. Arianrhod was not there. He went down the kitchen to see his mother. "Have you seen that spider?" he inquired. "I've seen too many spiders," Mrs. Griffith replied. She was rolling pastry on the kitchen table now and did not look up when she spoke. "But have you seen my own particular spider?" "I saw one yesterday." "Could have been the one." Mrs. Griffiths rolled out and rolled the pastry and did not look up. "It was different," she went on, "a sort of grey." "Silver," Gwyn corrected. "Where was it?" "Here, on the curtain." "Did you catch it?" "Yes." "You know I can't abide cobwebs." Mrs. Griffiths had finished the pastry, but she still did not look up. "What did you do with it?" "I put it down the drain," his mother said flatly. "Drowned it." Gwyn was speechless. He could not believe what he had heard. His mother had to be joking. He stared at her, hoping for a smile and a teasing word, but she kept tearing little pieces away from the pastry and would not look at him. And then Gwyn found himself screaming, "Drowned? Drowned? You can't have." "Well, I have." At last his mother faced him. "You know I don't like spiders. Why did you keep it so long?" She could not explain to Gwyn that she was afraid, not only of spiders, but of the strange girl that could not be her daughter, yet seemed so like her, and who was beginning to take her daughter's place. "You don't understand," Gwyn cried. "You foolish woman. You don't know what you've done." He ran to the kitchen sink. "Did you put it down here?" "Where does the drain go to?" "The septic tank," Mrs. Griffith said defiantly. Guilt was making her angry. "And you can't look there. Nothing can live in that stuff. The spider is dead."